Chapter 30 A Beautiful Dream. After a satisfying dinner, Layla and Kyle shuffled down the night street, enjoying the ice cream in their hands. Kyle was keen on staying with her, though she had told him to hurry back and prepare for tomorrow's exam.
I need to digest the food first so I can properly prepare for tomorrow's test.
Layla belted up, unable to come up with a retort to his confident reasoning.
Let's walk for a bit then. But Kyle,
Why
do you want to marry me?
Layla asked cautiously, the aftertaste of cold, sweet ice cream smeared on her lips.
If you're just doing it out of pity.
Layla Llewellyn.
Kyle cut her off, calling her name firmly, and stepped in front of Layla, who was a little startled by his frigid voice.
Do you see me as the kind of crazy guy who marries someone out of sympathy?
His unfamiliar expression made Layla freeze in her tracks, and she fell silent.
Well, the world is wide. There might be a lot of crazy people who marry for such reasons, but I'm not one of them. Do you know why? It's because I love you.
Kyle.
That's my only reason. Because I love Layla Llewellyn.
As he looked down at Layla's cocked eyebrow.
Who do you think is more pitiful? Me, who's been rejected hundreds of times, or you? I'm the sadder one, Layla.
Kyle didn't want Layla to see what expression he was making right now, which must have been pretty silly, as if she knew what he was going through. Layla followed him from behind, creating some distance between them. After traveling home shackled in deafening silence, the two finally arrived in front of the hotel.
Go in.
Kyle told her. With a smile on his face, he added,
Oh, I forgot. I haven't done it today.
He slowly lifted his eyes after staring down at the cup of melting ice cream in his hand. He had remembered something.
Layla, let's get married.
The turndown was already flashing before his very eyes though, yet Kyle felt a little weird skipping it now since Layla's rejection had become something of a daily routine for him. For some reason, today, Layla, who was accustomed to rejecting his proposal with a nonchalant shrug, was unusually quiet. Kyle looked at her with his eyes narrowed as he studied her attentively.
I'm not getting married.
He readied to hear such a sweet but heartless response that was supposed to come from her slowly parted lips. But instead, her response was something beyond his wildest dreams.
Layla.
Kyle jolted in surprise. The ice cream cup he was holding fell to the ground, soiling the tip of his shoe. The words failed him. He was in a conundrum at her straightforward reply.
Hey, so, do you agree to marry me?
As he made sure, Layla lowered her head and nodded.
You want to marry, right, me?
He repeated the question in a shaky voice. Layla glimpsed at him sheepishly and nodded her head slightly once more. She was momentarily at a loss for words, but Kyle was already screaming in delight as he held her by the shoulders. That night, Kyle had a dream. He dreamed of marrying Layla and living their everyday life in complete bliss as an Etman couple. Layla once said to him, having her own house with a small flower bed was her long-held dream. She smiled shyly and voiced her happiness. She wished the roses she had planted in the garden were all blooming beautifully. In his dream, he saw Layla diligently tending to that very flower garden. The little child who was running alongside her was more lovely than a blossoming rose. The sun shone brilliantly, and the child's laughter was brimming with glee.
Daddy!
The child who saw him quickly came running. She was a pretty little girl who looked a lot like Layla with her blonde hair. The child, still a toddler, jumped on his feet and welcomed him with her eyes sparkling. The whiff of air caressed him as he walked to her with their lovely daughter in his arms. Layla laughed as her eyes held his a moment longer. Her smile was so beautiful, perhaps even more beautiful than his beautiful dream had been. In the fading remnants of his dream, Kyle awakened with the phosphines still in his eyes. Thanks to that feeling of happiness, he performed much better than he expected on the exam. He couldn't believe it. Will his dream soon come true? Is there such a thing as a beautiful blessing in this world greater than that? Once he stepped out of the exam hall, Kyle had the feeling that he could leap to great heights in the sky. His footfall seemed to have wings. He felt free like a bird just leaving its nest the moment he spotted Layla sitting on a bench outside, waiting for him.
Layla?
Layla raised her head at his shout. She folded the small notebook she was reading and put it back into her sling bag.
How was the test?
She approached him blithely.
Was it hard? Did you do well?
You're always worried about everything.
Kyle tucked his chin up as though he were flaunting.
I'm Carl Ettman. I don't know how to get second place in studies.
Oh, ha ha ha. You did great then.
Layla hooted with laughter.
I forgot how smart Mr. Ettman was for a moment.
Wow, that makes me very sad to hear. Make sure you keep it in your mind from now on.
Kyle suddenly grabbed her hand. Layla didn't wave his hand away, though his touch took her by surprise. While she was looking at him, the late afternoon spring sunlight in dazzling crimson gold glowed on the corner of his lips as he gave a gentle smile back to her.
Are you sure you did well on the exam?
Asked Layla carefully. As she looked like she couldn't shake off her trepidation, Kyle grinned at her after seeing how adorable she was.
Don't worry, I won't fail the exam, so there won't be anything bad that may prevent us from attending college together.
That's not what I meant. Layla's cheeks were flushed with rosy pink. The moment he caught the sight of her adorable, sweet ripe peach face, Kyle's heart began to skip a beat erratically. He regretted that they were at the exam location presently. If they had been on an empty street, Kyle would have mustered up his guts to kiss her right at this moment.
No, if I do that for no reason, Layla will get scared, so I'd better wait for a little bit longer.
One of his thoughts wandered back to the shovel, which he had forgotten about. The giant shovel full of dirt and Uncle Bill's alarming smile. The two slowly hiked around the campus, with hands intertwined tightly, walking from the medical facility where Kyle would study as a doctor, then to the biology hall where Layla would be enrolling in the future. They laughed and chatted excitedly and had a great time along the way.
You will definitely pass, but it may be a bit difficult for me.
Layla muttered with a serious face as she reached the biology faculty building.
Why are you worried about that? Didn't you do well on your exams?
That's true, but only a few female students took the exam earlier.
Her countenance became more gloomy as the talk continued. Kyle nodded his head.
Oh, that's right.
He momentarily sighed a little. It had only been a few years ago since women were allowed to pursue higher education at the same level as the men in the Empire's universities. Due to the rigorous selection process, only a few students could pass since the threshold for college admission test scores was much higher for female students.
Still, I'm sure you will pass.
Kyle spoke with confidence.
If you don't pass, who else will?
Don't you think you're being overconfident?
Not in the least. This is my opinion based on your grades during your 8 years of school.
8 years. So much time has passed already.
Layla could still vividly remember the road she had ridden to Arvis by a mail wagon. Time had passed by in a flash. The well-grown Kyle who was standing before her eyes suddenly felt like a new person.
What's wrong?
Kyle, who was a little embarrassed from the deep gaze fixated on him, asked awkwardly.
You have grown so much.
Amazement reigned in Layla's eyes as she stared at him for a moment. Stunned, Kyle was utterly at a loss for what to do, as though fluffy feathers were popping from his chest. Layla Llewellyn's attractiveness didn't appear to diminish, even when she uttered such ridiculous things, leaving him speechless. Kyle gave a false smile. He took a deep breath and continued.
Yeah, I've grown up well to be a decent husband. Do you like it?
I don't know.
Layla stiffly hastened her stride. Kyle couldn't stop himself from grinning from ear to ear when he saw her face was daubed with shyness. On their way back, Kyle talked about his pleasant dreams, which would soon become a reality. About the house, how they would live together, their daily life as husband and wife, and also their soon-to-be-born, beautiful child in the future. He was keen to write a fresh chapter in the history of the Ettman family, along with their offspring. Kyle cherished the look of cautious eagerness that graced her face when he talked about that dream. He was ecstatic to see those hopes and dreams were on the cusp of becoming a reality. It was a rather funny and sentimental thought, but he believed it was the reason why he was born into this world, to make her expectation come true.
How many children do you want to have?
Kyle asked her.
I wish I had a daughter and a son.
Well, maybe 5?
5.
Kyle stood gaping. The number she said was in contrast to her timid attitude.
We won't be lonely if we have so many kids.
Layla chuckled and continued.
We can depend on one another. I think it would be great if the house were full of people who resembled one another.
For some reason, Kyle felt bitter when he saw Layla say those things with a radiant look. He could tell by gazing at Layla's bittersweet smile how long she had lived in loneliness.
5. Okay, Layla, I'll do my best.
Huh?
Layla's eyes grew round at Kyle's loud pledge. They looked at each other with blank expressions for a split second. Then their cheeks blushed nearly at the exact moment.
Hey, that's not what I meant.
Kyle took a step back. He had a redder complexion than hers.
I'm not thinking only about that.
Neither am I.
Layla snapped back, ashamed by his words. The two quickly released their grip and walked a step apart, not daring to make eye contact. Kyle gave Layla a sideways look, and the peals of laughter he'd been holding in eventually burst from deep within.
By the way, Layla, did you feel ashamed after deciding to have 5 children? You didn't think a stork would give you 5 babies, did you? Our Miss Llewellyn, who is well versed in all subjects except geometry.
Layla kept walking, a scowl on her face, disregarding his mischievous teasing. Kyle's jolly laughter grew louder along with the clacking of her heeled shoes.
Oh, wait for me, Mrs. Etman.
His jovial cry reverberated across the campus on a sunny spring day. Layla started to run. Kyle was smitten with the look of her back. Her statuette gave him the feeling of returning to that pleasant dream once again, and he didn't want to ever wake up, forever.